Vietnam's capital to extend COVID-19 curbs as new clusters emerge. Ho Chi Minh City to cover funeral expenses for deceased COVID patients. Vietnamese printer arrested for peddling fake coronavirus test certificates. Vietnam remains attractive to multinational electronics companies. Hello and welcome to FBNC News, and those are the headlines for today's program. We'll begin with the updates about the pandemic situation in the country. Now, Vietnam's capital Hanoi will extend coronavirus restrictions until August 22nd, the Health Ministry said on Friday after authorities warned of new clusters of infections detected in the city of more than 8 million people. Hanoi has in the past 2 weeks ordered people to stay at home and halted all non-essential activities. But a threefold rise in infections has prompted the city to extend the current curbs due to end on Saturday. The city reported 116 new cases on Friday and has recorded 2,184 cases since the pandemic began. Official data showed. While the numbers are still low, authorities are wary after the highly contagious Delta variant of the virus has helped drive up infections across the country. Nationwide, about a third of Vietnamese 63 cities and provinces are under strict coronavirus curbs as the country struggles to get on top of its worst outbreak so far. Just 820,000 people have been fully vaccinated in Vietnam, or less than 1% of the country's 98 million population. 19 southern localities under social distancing order are expanding areas free from coronavirus called green zones, narrowing and fencing virus-hit areas called red zones so the country can return to normal at the earliest. Talking with the press on August 10th, Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam, who is also head of the National Steering Committee on COVID-19 Prevention and Control, attributed the increasing number of infections to lax social distancing measures in several areas over the past time. He emphasized the government's strategy of preventing and minimizing new cases across the country. As directed by the Prime Minister, protecting people's health must be placed above others. About vaccine supply, he said, authorities placed orders in big quantity to achieve herd immunity nationwide with 2 shots given to each person. However, delivery time is yet to be fixed. As scheduled, the country will not lack vaccines later this year, but in coming weeks, the Health Ministry reported that not many committed batches of vaccines will arrive, he said. According to him, the government agreed to prioritize vaccines to Ho Chi Minh City, Đồng Nai, Bình Dương and Long An, the biggest hotspots of coronavirus, to achieve herd immunity as soon as possible. He requested that Ho Chi Minh City and parts of Đồng Nai, Bình Dương and Long An must strive to control the pandemic in late August or mid-September. The remaining localities must fulfill the tasks in the next 20 days. Ho Chi Minh City authorities said the city would cover expenses for funeral services for deceased COVID patients in the safest and most solemn manner. Nguyễn Toàn Thắng, director of the City Department of Environment and Natural Resources, said each family would receive 17 million Vietnam dong or $740 to cover transportation, cremation and delivery of the ashes to them. For COVID patients who die at hospital, the City Department of Health would transfer funds to the hospitals to pay for funeral services. For COVID-19 patients who die at home, their families will need to present a death certificate to their ward or commune or township authorities to receive financial support. The city has also set a standard price for funeral service fees for those who do not die of COVID. Cremation of people who died of COVID-19 must be done according to a 6-step process prescribed by the Ministry of Health to ensure safety. When a COVID patient dies, whether at home or at hospital, the body must be disinfected and transported directly to the cremation place by specialized vehicles. For cremation within 24 hours from the time of death, for a death occurring at a medical examination and treatment facility, the burial process must follow a special process for dangerous diseases, and the burial must be done as soon as possible at the hospital funeral house, with a limited number of people participating in the funeral process. The city has assigned the Ho Chi Minh City High Command to receive and return the ashes of deceased COVID-19 patients to their families. If family members cannot directly receive the ashes of the deceased, the city's Religious Affairs Committee will transfer the ashes to be kept at temples or pagodas until the relatives come to receive them. Police in northern Vietnam have arrested a businessman for making and selling hundreds of fake negative COVID-19 test certificates as the country battles its worst outbreak yet. A new wave of infections in late April has forced the country to impose movement restrictions on a third of its cities and provinces, many of which require people to have negative certificates to move around. Trần Tuấn Dương, who runs a printing business in Bắc Ninh province, was arrested on Wednesday while selling 6 certificates to a client for 1 million dong or $43.86 US. The provincial police department said. Yung, 34, confessed to police that he had sold around 150 such documents, including ones for swab-based PCR tests, according to a police statement on Thursday, which said further investigation was underway. Vietnam has recorded more than 241,000 coronavirus infections and at least 4,487 deaths overall, with the vast majority of those in recent months, which followed a year of successful containment. Moving on to some economic news, the Vietnam Trade Office in Hong Kong is displaying food products at Hong Kong Food Expo 2021, which is taking place from August 12 to 16th, according to Vietnamese Consul General in Hong Kong, Phạm Bình Đàm. Hong Kong is a large trade transshipment center, and the annual Food Expo always attracts a large number of food producers, importers, and exporters all over the world. This year's event saw the participation of over 880 enterprises worldwide. It aims to introduce and promote the food industry of Hong Kong and other countries. The expo also offers a good chance for businesses to promote their trademarks and look for importers and exporters in the field of food production and technology. It is expected to welcome over 20,000 visitors per day. In 2019, the event attracted 1,578 producers, traders, and distributors of food and beverages, food-related products, and representatives from many countries, including Vietnam. Last year, the Food Expo was not held due to complicated developments of the COVID-19 pandemic. And despite complicated developments of the COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnam is still chosen by many foreign investors as a destination to build production bases, especially in the electronics industry, according to Fish Solutions. Notably, Samsung Group of the Republic of Korea has so far invested over $17.5 billion in Vietnam and regularly accounts for more than 20% of Vietnam's total export turnover through its main productions of high-end mobile phones and electronic components. Recently, Panasonic has moved its refrigerator and washing machine factory from Thailand to Vietnam. This move showed that Vietnam has become the main electronics manufacturing hub in the region. Economic experts said that the important factor attracting multinational electronics corporation is industrial parks or IP, noting that most IPs have favorable geographical locations that are easily accessible to transport and logistics systems. The Vietnamese government has approved the expansion of more IPs to meet investment needs in the short and medium terms. Adidas felt the impact of a Chinese boycott of Western brands on its second quarter results on Thursday and is also suffering from the closure of factories in major supplier of Vietnam due to rising COVID-19 infections. The German sportswear company still raised its outlook for full-year sales and profitability. As it said, it has seen demand recover in China since calls for a boycott in late March and said it hopes to restore production in Vietnam soon. Adidas raised its 2021 outlook to predict sales will grow up to 20% and net income from continuing operations will reach 1.4 to 1.5 billion euros. The new Adidas outlook assumes that the sourcing network will be back to normal by the end of September and that the company will continue to see a steady recovery in Greater China, where sales fell 16% in the second quarter. Western brands, including Adidas, faced online attacks in China in late March over past statements saying they would not source cotton from Xinjiang after reports of human rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims. Beijing denies any such abuses. Vietnam usually accounts for 28% of Adidas sourcing, and its factories mostly make shoes for the company, with a lag of 3 to 4 months before products hit the shelves. Vietnam's second highest mountain, Mount Bút Tà Làng, has been found to be home to a brand new species of frog, the fifth to be discovered in the wider mountainous region in 5 years. Named the Mount Bút Tà Làng leaf-litter frog, the latest amphibious addition was found in just one single valley on the Mount Bút Tà Làng by a team of conservation biologists on an expedition led by the international conservation charity Zoological Society of London. Although the region has been subject to heavy deforestation over recent decades, fortunately, the valley in which the new species was found is within the recently created Bát Nature Reserve, with wide fringes around its toes, setting it apart from other species in the area. The small brown frog looks similar to other leaf-litter frogs, but despite its familiar appearance, there is still much to discover about the species and the role it plays in its wider habitat. The team believes the Mount Bút Tà Làng leaf-litter frog is likely forest-dependent and restricted to the region, meaning it could be threatened by ongoing habitat destruction in the area and development for tourists. Now that has wrapped up FBNC News this week. Thank you for staying with us. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Stay safe, everyone.